All right, guys, let's get started. I'm gonna do a little review for chapter 15 and 16. Those chapters we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about last week, so let's talk about it today. So 15 and 16, we talk about unemployment and also your money. First of all, for unemployment, on your test, there are many questions asking about the 4 types of unemployment. If you read the book carefully, there are 4 types of unemployment. We have frictional unemployment. We have, what is it? Cyclical unemployment. Seasonal unemployment. And what else? Structural unemployment. Okay. So the 4 types of unemployment: seasonal, cyclical, structural, and frictional. So know which one it is, know the definitions, and then also knows like how to apply each one. So first of all, for seasonal unemployment, is any type of employment based on seasons. So for example, lifeguarding, that will be a seasonal unemployment. If you go to Galveston today, you don't see any lifeguard on the beach, right? Because it's winter. So any job based on the season, that's called seasonal unemployment. Now second, it's called fractional. So fractional is any type of unemployment rate that's result from personal issues. So imagine you want to move to a different town. You're going to quit your job today and then find a job next week somewhere else. At this time frame, you quit your job based on personal reasons. That's called frictional unemployment. And then next one is called structural unemployment. Now the structure is very tricky. Structure, you got to remember that there is a mismatch between the qualification of the candidate and the requirement of the profession. So for example, today in our economy, right now we have 41,000 coal miners looking for a job. We also have over 3,000 openings for healthcare professionals. Now supposedly 41,000 people looking for a job, 50,000 new jobs available. That's a match, but they don't match because there's a mismatch between qualifications. So your coal miners don't qualify to be healthcare professionals. There's a mismatch between the qualification of the employee and the requirement of the profession. We call this a structural unemployment. And then structural unemployment tend to be long-term unemployment. So if you look at those coal miners today, many of them they have been out of job for many, many years, but they couldn't find a job anymore. Okay. And the last one is the most important one. It's called a cyclical unemployment. For cyclical unemployment, is any unemployment happens because of our business cycle. Remember, we have expansions, recessions, right? So when we have recession, the economy slows down, and then our unemployment rate goes up. That's called cyclical unemployment. So anybody who is getting laid off from work because the economy is bad, that's called that's called cyclical unemployment. So right now, for our economy, it's very good, and our unemployment total is only about 4.1%. That's because right now we have almost no cyclical unemployment. That everybody who want a job have a job because the economy is very good. Make sense? All right, and then also on your test, make sure it knows how to. You guys see the color?
Yes.
Pretty nice, right? Let's see how the different ones. Better? Make sure you know the formula for unemployment rate and also labor force participation rate. So for unemployment rate, this is your unemployed divided by labor force. And then labor force is your unemployed plus employed. Okay, so unemployment rate equals to unemployed divided by labor force, and labor force is your employed plus unemployed. And the next one for labor force participation rate is your labor force divided by population. That is your labor force participation rate. So make sure to get a number carefully. Okay. So labor force participation rate is your labor force divided by population. And there are questions on the test asking you for what is the unemployment rate and what's the labor force participation rate. Okay. So know how to calculate on each one. Also on the test, they will ask you questions regarding to unemployment. They'll ask you what is unemployment. Now the key for unemployment, you can remember, to be unemployed, you must be actively looking for a job. So if you have somebody who is currently not working, at the same time not looking for a job, that person is not unemployed. If you call unemployed, you must not have a job and actively looking for a job to be called unemployed. Now, if you have somebody who is currently doesn't have a job and then stop looking for a job, any idea what we call them? Very good. That's called discouraged worker. So discouraged worker is anybody who wants to have a job, but they stop looking for a job. We call them discouraged worker. Okay. So no is discouraged worker. Now, guys, if you have a person who's working, let's say, 10 hours a week, part-time, is this person employed or unemployed? Employed. Even though you're part-time workers, they're still employed. Okay? And also know what is underemployed. So underemployed is anybody who wants to have a full-time job, that's currently working as a part-time job. So that's underemployed. So know the difference, right? So no was employed, no was underemployed, no was discouraged worker, no was unemployed. And then your labor force. Labor force is your employed plus unemployed. Make sense? Any questions about the unemployment rate? No? Yeah, that's it for chapter 15. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty simple. For chapter 16, we talk about what is money. Okay, so know the difference between a commodity money and a fiat money. So a commodity money is the money by itself has its own value on it. So for example, gold is a commodity money because that gold by itself has its own value on it. Now on the other side, something called a fiat money. So fiat. Now this is how I remember about fiat money. So fiat money is just like the car. Fiat is horseless. Okay? So fiat money is just like the car. Fiat is horseless. So for fiat money, your US dollar bill is a fiat money. Because that money by itself, $1 is a piece of paper. One piece of paper by itself has no value on it. Only reason why it's $1 because we say so it's $1. So gold has its own value. That's called commodity money. Your dollar bills, that's a fiat money because by itself has no value. Right? So no difference between it. And I also know the difference between your M1 and M2. Question? So no difference between M1 and M2. So M1, they're the money that's very liquidable. And you can convert it to cash very easily. If you look at M1, for M1 we have our cash, which can be converted to cash very easily. We have our checking account. It's also known as a demand deposit. Okay. So checking account is also part of M1. Then we have our traveler check. So for traveler check can also be converted to cash very easily. So these three items, your cash, checking account, which is demand deposit, and then your traveler check together is your M1. Now M2 has everything in M1, so M1 is part of M2, and then plus your saving, your CD, and then money market mutual fund. So saving plus CD plus money market mutual fund plus M1, that is your M2. Yes. By the way, do you guys know what's a CD? Certificate of deposit. Very good. Wait, did you guys learn it from the book or? Oh, I did. Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. I said it before. So CD stands for certificate deposit. Okay, so those savings, they're part of your M2. So M1 has everything in M2, and then plus saving, CD, and then money market mutual fund. Make sense? All right. Let's suppose this. Suppose we have a person who decides to take $1,000. So we draw 1,000 from the checking account and then transfer it into the saving account. Now, once that happens, how does our M1 change? So this person, we draw 1,000 from checking into saving. Okay, so we take 1,000 from checking to our saving account. So how does our M1 change?
It reduces the amount in the M1.
Very good. So if you withdraw 1,000 from checking account, M1 goes down by 1,000. What about M2?
Raise by 1,000.
Raise by 1,000. Now the answer. How does M2 change? I don't know. Did you think about it before you said anything else? You did? Yeah. You're right, it does stay the same. Reason why it stays the same? Remember, M2 has everything in M1 plus saving, right? So if the M1 goes down by 1,000, saving goes up by 1,000, and this, your M2 will stay the same. Because M2 equals to checking plus saving, right? So if checking goes down by 1,000, saving goes up by 1,000, they cancel each other out, and M2 is stay the same by 1,000, or stay the same, doesn't change. M2 very rarely ever changes. Okay? So the only reason why it changes because our government wants to increase the money supply. But as a consumers, M2 very rarely ever changes. So you should know each one. Okay, so what is M1, what is M2? Got it? Yeah. Also for chapter 16, we talk about this fractional reserve banking system. That we have our required reserve, our excess reserve, and then our money multiplier. Remember this? Yeah. Okay. So for required reserve, what's the first thing first? You need to know what is the required reserve ratio. It's 3R. So required reserve ratio is the proportion of our deposit that the banks must hold on to at any given time. That's called required reserve ratio. So let's suppose we have a bank and this bank's required reserve ratio is 10%. Means for whatever deposit they have, 10% deposit must be held down in the bank. Now, in this bank, right now, they have a total deposit of $100. So somebody comes to the bank and deposit $100. And then this bank also have a total reserve of $20. Guys, what is reserve? And when you hear this term called reserve, what does it mean to you? What is it? Old? Anything else? What does this term reserve mean to you? How about this? What does this term reserve means over here? Reserve just means, I'll spell it. Just cash. Means how much cash you're currently holding on to. Like that's a reserve. So reserve in banks just means cash. How much cash you currently have. All right, so their total reserve is 20. And then next, let's look at something else. So on your test, you will see questions like this. I'll give you the required reserve ratio. I'll give you deposit. I'll give you reserves. And I'll ask for what is the what's the required reserve? What's the excess reserve? What's the money multiplier? What's the change in money supply, also known as money creation? So how much more money can you create? Right? So ask for these four things over here. Let's go by step. So first, to find required reserve, you take your total deposit times required reserve ratio. So total deposit times required reserve ratio, they'll give you required reserve. Everything got it? So for this, total deposit is 100. Required reserve ratio is 10%. So 100 times 10%, which is $10. With this bank, you're required to hold on to $10. Second, excess reserve. Now, excess reserve, so excess means extra. So how much extra cash you're holding on to right now? So our required cash is, how did you forget this?
I don't know, man. Thanks.
No problem. All right, so excess cash, how much excess cash do we have? Now currently our total cash is 20. Our required cash is 10. To find an excess reserve, use our total reserve, subtract required reserve, that is your excess reserve. Total reserve minus required reserve, that'll be our excess reserve. And the next one from money multiplier, it's a very simple formula. It's 1 divided by required reserve ratio. In this case, will be 1 divided by 10%. So that will give you, hold on. 1 divided by 10% is 10. And the last step, to find a change in money supply, or how much money creation it is, you're going to take your excess reserve, if this bank loans all the excess reserve out, times money multiplier, that will be our change in money supply. In this case, that will be 10 excess reserve times 10 money multiplier. So the change in money supply will be 100. Potential, it's also called a potential money creation. You know what it means? So how much is the change in money supply? How much is our potential money creation? Use our excess reserve times money multiplier, and that will give you 100. Everybody got it? Yeah. Now, let's suppose we change it. Suppose for this bank, the reserve ratio is not 10%. The reserve ratio is actually at 5%. Let's try this. Find out how much required reserve, excess reserve, money multiplier, and how much is our change in money supply. The only change that will change to 5%. Oh, that's so your exam is really this week. You guys want to take a test in person? You don't take a test in person, what I can do, I can set up a test for you, a team with testing center, and go there in person and take it. Yeah,
We go to the same option, building both.
yeah, let's do both. Okay, so guys, this is important. Okay, so if you really want to take a test in person, send me an email before end of tonight. Okay? And then I will set up your exam at the Kingwood Center on Thursday, and then you know on Thursday afternoon, Friday or Saturday, and I'll pick it up next week.
And so I teach you?
Yeah, so same rule. So 1 page cheat sheet, and you're done.
Okay, and where would it be at, like in the building?
So if you go to Kingwood, go to SCC.
Okay.
Second floor SCC. That's the SCC.
Okay.
So so when you go, make sure to bring your ID. Bring the other cheat sheet or scan card. Or don't even bring scan card. Just go on, make a mark the X on the test. Yeah.
Okay.
You know where the payment section is? And go pay for your school. It's right up there above the payment.
Oh, okay, so the test.
Yes, test.
Okay.
Now, so if you want to do it, make sure send me an email by tonight. So I can go drop off on session. All right, let's try this practice. And then you're going to do the finals too. Next week on Tuesday, same time. I will be here doing on your in-person final. I'm doing a first final competition in person. For the final, you guys want to have 100 questions or 50 questions? 50.
100.
No. 50 questions on the final.
Sounds good.
200. We're gonna be here all day. Are you gonna get the next semester?
We do $2.
Yeah, right. And then guys, for the 3 tests, we try the lowest test rate. Oh, also last night, after your exam 2 is all the actual points. So take a look, if it's not right, let me know. Some people say like 17 points.
Oh, are you gonna review before the final?
You want to review help you guys? So the review will help you?
Yeah.
I know review.
Okay.
You have to do
Oh, just for self-review.
Yeah, that's right. How much happened? Oh, also another thing, guys, if you guys want to sign up for my Econ 2002 for next semester, 2 sessions, but they're all closed already, already full. So if you want to do it, send me an email, and then give you permission, and take an email to your advisor, and then they can sign up for it. Okay. However, for my Econ 2001, there's still a lot of room open. If you guys want to take it, then 2001. It's a little tricky, so what I have to do, I have to tell you for this semester. You can sign up for next week. It's a little work on my side, that's okay. I can do it.
More suffering.
Yeah, more suffering for school. Yes, got it? So exam 3 is open this week. For final, it's what I do for finals. So for final, I will open the final this week too. So probably sometime to the end of the week, so either on Thursday or Friday, I'll open the final. If you guys want to take it early, take it early. So more time study for other classes. But they'll be closed end of next week. So you have more than 1 week more coming.
And you can do like Sunday or Friday?
Sunday. You guys do the test on Thursday.
You said the test in person this Friday.
No, test in person just with the
No, test free.
Test three. I will drop off Thursday morning.
Yeah.
You can take it like Thursday afternoon or Friday or Saturday.
Oh, okay. You want this?
I'm not sure if they open on Sunday, so you can ask me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Friday, Saturday. Okay. Oh, another thing, when you guys take your test in person, do not wear that astro shirt. It's bad. It is, like, I have a student in my other class, she wore the astro shirt, but she got like 10 points off the test. It's bad off.
Oh, take a selfie. No, wait, take a selfie, walk into the testing center. Like this.
With the dog shirt.
With the dog shirt, right?
Alright, I tried that.
Yeah.
Did you burn it?
Yeah, all the astro found too. Alright, you guys finished? Yeah, okay. So at 5%, how much is the required reserve?
5.
5, right? So you're gonna do 100 times 5%. So it's just 5. How much is your new excess reserve? 15, right? So that'll be 20. Subtract 5, which is 15. How much is your new your money multiplier?
Okay,
Just 20, right? So it's 1 divided by 5%, which is just 20. Now, how much is your new money or changing money supply? 300. Yeah, remember it's your excess reserve times money multiplier. So the 15 times 20, so give you 300 as a change money multiplier.
I did money multiplier.
Oh, okay, so be careful, okay, so 15 times 20, that gives you 300 of change in money supply. Everybody got it? Yeah, any questions?
In the email, do you want us to put in, we'd like to take it in a certain school?
You will also,
Is it gonna be like this, or is it gonna be held on the instruction?
so they have a special testing room, you can go in there, first you put all the stuff you have in the locker, and then you make sure you have ID on it, so, so put.
No, I'm talking about next month. The class that you're talking
Oh, yeah, we just like this.
Oh.
So we're gonna do, like a lecture session for the week, but it will be on Thursday. So on Thursday, we'll be at a Texas Center. So,
I heard the English Center will be fully open until like next spring.
spring 2019. We're gonna get a new library, brand new library. So, the problem is, remember I told you that next to the school, there is a water treatment plant. And then during hurricane, the treatment plant lost power. So all the sewage flow to the school. And then those sewage not only got into the drywall, also got into the bricks. So that gotta turn on all the bricks in the building here. So we're gonna have a brand new library.
Just flood it with clean water.
Yeah, I got sold it for a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Sure. Bleach. That'll do everything. My office is on the second floor of the library. So ever since the hurricane, we cannot go back to the school. So my office has been locked down for the last like 4 months now. I have that unit doesn't have any power. It lost power too. So I have a little mini fridge in my office.
Oh.
And before the hurricane, I had a half carton of milk. It's been there for 4 months now. And little science experiment.
So you.
Yeah, sure. With little grass on it.
That's it, that's it. It's a-
Guys, I see the menus. Everything we just did.
Is wrong.
No, it's not wrong.
Oh,
Everything we just did, all the numbers, we had the same number on our test. Well, you gotta use your test then. Okay? So once you do the test question, it's same numbers, same numbers. But that's how you solve it. That's how you solve it. Okay? Make sense? All right. Let me see. So that's it for chapter 16. Let's talk about chapter 17. Now remember your test mostly focus on chapter 11, 15, and 16. Chapter 17 is very light. Okay? So for chapter 17, oh, there's one more thing for chapter 16. Is your interest rate equals to inflation plus real interest rate. Okay, so nominal interest rate equals to inflation plus real interest rate. So on the test, there are questions like this too. So I'll give you two variables and ask you what's missing. You're gonna find the numbers and then find the missing variable. So your nominal rate equals to inflation plus real interest rate. Nominal equals to inflation plus real interest rate. Make sense? Yeah. All right. For chapter 17 is some basic concept of money. The first one is called classical dichotomy. So classical dichotomy means that there is a separation between your real variable and then your monetary variable. This story is a real story. It happened in 1800. In 1800, if you look at the British Empire, it was a huge empire. There are many colonies all over the world, right? And then there was one concept for economics they couldn't decide. The question is, should they get more gold or more silk? Now guys, if you give me a choice, you want more gold or more silk?
So, probably gold.
Well, wasn't silk hard to produce? Well, hard to make?
Isn't gold hard to find too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we should take gold or silk.
Well, I'll take gold.
Gold.
There's a reason why it's.
What's the reason?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because isn't it, well,
Silk is like made for, to use, I guess. clothing or-
as a clothing?
Okay. What
And
about
also
gold?
because if you just took gold, it becomes worthless. Because if you base your entire economy on gold, it becomes absolutely worthless.
Guys, that's right. Imagine you have a lot of money,
It's great times.
but you couldn't buy anything. Then what's money good for? Right? So in 1800, for British Empire, they were deciding, do we need more gold for the empire, or do we need more silk or teas, like real good for the empire? And then many people, like you said, many people are asking for more gold. But they're thinking the more gold the empire have, the more money we have, then the better, the bigger empire we have. But there was a economist named David Ricardo. David Ricardo said, we don't need gold. What we need is real good for the empire. Teas, silk, and time. And really, this strategy, this strategy from David Ricardo, it changed the entire economic outlook for the British Empire. And then what they did, they switched the focus from Africa, which produced a lot of gold, to Southeast Asia, which produced a lot of good. So colonies such as India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and also they were trading with China. So all those trading with those countries was getting more good to the empire, and that was better for the economy. Yes. Did I ever tell you guys about the story behind General Tso Chicken? Did I tell you who General Tso was? Like he killed a lot of white people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So again, the reason why, because they were trading for stuff like China. So silk, China, teas from China. So they're trading good from China. Make sense? All right. So know what's a classical dichotomy? So classical dichotomy means there's a separation between your monetary good and then your real good. So in other sense, there's a separation between the two. Okay. And I also know what's a monetary neutrality. So neutral, money is neutral, monetary neutrality. Imagine you're working full time right now, okay? And then for this year, your boss gave you a 2% raise. It's more, 2% more.
What's it called?
What is it called? What's that 2% called? 4 letters. 4 letters.
I'm trying to remember,
For COLA. COLA,
Yeah.
okay? Cost of living adjustment. Okay? So when you have a 2% raise, even though getting more money in return, but you're not that bad at all because the price of everything else is increasing. So in this case here, you're getting more money. But this process is called monetary neutrality. So you're of course getting more pay, but so is the price of everything else. So you're just as same off as before.
Like raising the ratio
Equally, that's right, equally. Right? So it's called monetary neutrality. Okay. All right, so know those two terms. And then there's one formula in chapter 17 that you will see on the test. It's this. M times E equals to P times Y. And you will see many questions on this. I'll give you 3 variables with 1 item missing, and I'll ask you what it is. Just make sure you know the format. So M stands for money supply. So money supply is how much total money, total M2 we have in the economy. That's our money supply. V stands for velocity. Make sure knows velocity. So velocity is how often does money change hand in the economy? That's called velocity. So the velocity of money. So how often do money change hand in the economy? So if our consumer spend their money very quickly, very often, the velocity is higher. But if you spend money slowly, or you save all the money on the side, then this velocity goes down. The more money you're spending out, the more quickly spending out, your velocity is increased. And vice versa, if you spend less money, velocity is decreased. So M is money supply, V is velocity, P is your price level. It's how expensive everything is. P is your price level. And Y is your real GDP. Is how much stuff you have. So if you think about it for this part of the equation, You take how much money you have times how often do you spend all the money. And this part is the total spending for the economy. Right? So how much money we have, how often do we spend it, and multiply together, that's your total spending for the economy. And then on the right side, you take your price level times real GDP, which is how much stuff you have. So take the price of each item times how many items you have. On the right side is also the total spending for the economy. Okay? So two ways to get the same numbers. So M times V give you total spending, P times Y also give you total spending. That's the equation over here. So you should know how to plug numbers and find the missing value. Oh, yeah, just like that. So you need to add over here. Same formula. Guys, I think on your PowerPoint, on your notes, in the book, it shows M equals to P times Y divided by M. It's the same formula, so all I did is move the M over here. Same formula. Okay, but this one's easier to understand. Okay. So M times V give you the total spending, P times Y give you total spending. So total spending you can travel. All right. Also on your test, there are a lot of questions regarding to the Federal Reserve. But Federal Reserve, this is just what chapter 16. Okay. So for Federal Reserve is the central bank in America. So every economy has a central bank. The central bank for America is called Federal Reserve. And then there are some basic functions for Federal Reserve. The number one function for Federal Reserve is to regulate all the banks in America. So if you're a bank in America, you are regulated by our Federal Reserve. And also, if you're a bank in America, you must have an account with Federal Reserve. So however much excess cash you have, you're deposited with our Federal Reserve. So every single individual bank must have an account with Federal Reserve. Okay? So for Federal Reserve, if you look at the structure for Federal Reserve, do you guys have any dollars on you? $1, $10 on. $10 on $1 bills. $1, $1. $1, 1 point on the
I
five.
just came from heartbreak.
Sure, whatever. Oh, that's fine. I got enough over here. Man, you're prepared.
I know.
For what? Oh, by the way, guys, if there's a hurricane next time, and if you're evacuating Houston, make sure you have cash on you. Because when you go somewhere like gas station, they might be out of power. When you use a credit card, cash is always good. Guys, on this dollar bill, what do you see on the dollar bill? George is on there. What else?
Yeah.
Number one, okay, what else?
You have your reserve.
So on the very top, it says Federal Reserve notes. Okay, so if you guys look at any dollars, $10, $20, $100, on the top of it says Federal Reserve notes. So this is usually from Federal Reserve. What else?
We're gonna have also
There's a serial number.
Serial number, right?
Yeah.
So if you guys go to the website called whereisgeorge.com, type in the serial number, it will tell you where this dollar has been to. What else is on it?
What about the
little quote in the top left.
Top left. So this note is legal tender for all debt, property, and private. Okay, very good. What else? Oh, you're reading off of it now. Okay. Guys, notice the little seal on the left. This one says H.
Federal Reserve?
This one says K. We have a G. We have a K. We have another K. We have a K again. So many Ks. We have a B. The reason why there are different alphabetical letters on it, because in the very beginning, so back in the late 1700s, when we first were issuing dollar paper bills, many people in the country, they were illiterate, they don't know how to read and write. So they were using the alphabet to teach people how to read and write. The letter from A to Z, so they learn the alphabet. Okay. I just made it up, that's not what it is. All right, so if you look at the letters over here, look at the seals. So for H, H says the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. K is Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. G is Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. And then we have a B is Federal Reserve Bank of New York, New York. So each letter representing different Federal Reserve Bank in America. So for our country, we have 12 different regional Federal Reserve Bank. So the one for Houston is in Dallas. The Dallas Federal Reserve Bank oversees the entire Texas area and also northern Louisiana. That's part of the Dallas Federal Reserve Bank. So for the 12 regional Federal Reserve Bank, you have Chicago, Philadelphia, Boston, New York, Dallas, San Francisco, St. Louis. So from all the different Federal Reserve Banks, the most important Federal Reserve Bank is the one in New York. Any idea why is the New York Federal Reserve Bank most important?
Is that like the head honcho banks or?
That's where all the banks, the top banks headquarters are. That's also where the Wall Street is, the financial heart of the country. So the Federal Reserve Bank of New York is the most important one. Because over there in New York, we regulate all the top banks in America. And also at the New York Federal Reserve Bank, they have a trading desk. And the New York Federal Reserve Bank trading desk, they will buy and sell government bonds at the Federal Reserve Bank. Nobody else does it. So we don't do it in Texas, we don't do it in San Francisco, but in the New York Federal Reserve Bank, we buy and sell government bonds. So that's New York is the most important Federal Reserve Bank. So there are 12 of them, and New York is the most important. And then for our Federal Reserve, if you look at leadership for Federal Reserve, there is something called a board of governors. So we have 7 board of governors. And then for the 7 board of governors, they are all appointed by president and then confirmed by U.S. Senate. So for the 7 board of governors, each person served a 14-year term. Now, how many years does a representative serve each term? How many?
8.
How many years? Not 8. All right, let a Chinese guy teach you the basic American civics. Okay. For representative, they serve 2-year terms.
Okay.
What about president?
4.
Senators? 6, right? Supreme Court judge? Right, okay. Now, this board of governors, each person serves a 14-year term. That's longer than your representative, longer than a senator, longer than a president. The reason why they serve a longer term, because we want the board of governors to be fully independent of our politics. So when they're acting at the Federal Reserve for the board of governors, they're acting in the best interest of our economy, not the best interest of any political parties. That's why those guys serve a 14-year term. Okay. Now, however, the highest position in Federal Reserve is the chairman, the chairperson for Federal Reserve. Now, the chairperson is serving 4-year term each. So every 4 years, this chairperson must be reappointed by the president. The reason why 4 years because we can give each president a chance to appoint their own chairperson in the Federal Reserve. So the current chairperson, actually, you know what? Let's talk about the last one. The last chairperson, his name is Ben Bernanke. He had a PhD in economics. He graduated from MIT. When he was taking SAT, his score on SAT was, back then the perfect score was 1600. His score on SAT was 1580. So very smart. And then before Ben Bernanke was Alan Greenspan. Alan Greenspan also PhD in economics. And then before Alan Greenspan was Paul Volcker. Paul Volcker also PhD in economics. So what do you see in common between these 3 people over here? Okay, what else?
Early bright people.
What else?
Men.
That's very good, right? Ben, Ellen, Paul, they're all men. The reason why they're all men, because to hold the most important position in the economy, you must be a man. If you're a lady, you're just not good enough. Okay? That's got to be the reason, right? Because that's the reason why Hillary lost election.
Must be.
Must be, right? Must be. I don't see any other reason, but she lost. But let's say this. The current person, her name, I'm gonna leave you now. Her name is Janet Yellen. Okay. So the current chairperson is Janet Yellen, and then she is the first female Federal Reserve chairperson we have in the history. But she also has a PhD in economics. Make sense? So if you look at all the previous four, or actually including the current one, they're all PhD in economics. But you have three guys on it. But guys, don't worry about it, because President Trump is going to fix this. So the next person, we already have we already have a nominee for it. The next person is going to be a guy. I think it's John Powell. But the next person doesn't have a PhD in economics. He has a law degree, so he was a lawyer. He worked in investment banking before, but he doesn't have a PhD in economics. But before, everybody else had a PhD in economics. But at least we're getting a guy back in the position, so at least that's good. Okay.
So at least we can say that standards are just out the window. I'm for it, but
Guys, if you look at the gender inequality in the current administration right now, if you look at all the appointee that President Trump, so all the appointee to different positions in the government, 91% are white, 85% are male. So there you go. Okay. All right. What else do I have? Okay, so for the Federal Reserve, one important function now remember, if you are a bank in America, you must have an account with Federal Reserve. And whatever cash you have is all deposited with Federal Reserve. And know what is FDIC? What's FDIC? What is it? What does it stand for? Federal Deposit. What's I? Federal Deposit what? Now, what does FDIC do?
what is it? When you have money in the bank, and the bank goes bail you out, they can say, well, you're insured for this much money.
Sure, yeah, it's like it's an insurance on your deposit in the bank, right? And this insurance is provided by our federal government. So FDIC stands for Federal Deposit Insurance. What's the C? Corporation. So Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation ensures how much cash you have in the bank. If the bank goes down, if the bank goes back up, then your money in the bank is protected, insured up to $250,000 per account. Okay, so whatever money you have in the bank, the first $250,000 per account is fully guaranteed. Now, what do you have to have more than $250,000 for you?
What's that?
You open two accounts.
Would it have more than?
Open four accounts. Yeah, because it is insurance per account. So it doesn't matter how many accounts you owe, but it's per account. Okay, makes sense. All right, so that's FDIC, and then also notice the difference between your discount rate and the federal funds rate. So remember that this Federal Reserve is the bank to all banks. So anytime, now remember this required reserve, so how much the money the banks must require to have in the bank. So if anytime the bank is short on required reserve, they must borrow the money from somewhere. When they go borrow money from our Federal Reserve, it's not free money. The Federal Reserve charges interest on it. So the interest the Federal Reserve will charge on the banks, that's called a discount rate. So when the banks borrow money from Federal Reserve, and Federal Reserve charges them an interest on it, that's called a discount rate. And then federal funds rate is between individual banks. So the banks can also go to our individual banks borrow money. So when they borrow money from other banks, it's not free money either. There's an interest on it. That's called a federal funds rate. So discount rate is from Federal Reserve on the banks. Federal funds rate is between banks to banks. Everyone. The last important function for Federal Reserve is to conduct our monetary policy. And for monetary policy is to control our money supply. That's from monetary policy, is to control our money supply. And then for this monetary policy, monetary policy is to change our money supply. When the money supply changed, there are more money available, so money supply changed. Any idea what will change in the economy? If we change our money supply, what will be changed first in the economy?
The value.
It will change the price of money, or the value for money, the price of money. Money is like everything else. The more you have it, the lower the value, the lower the price. So any idea what do we call the price of money?
Nope.
What do we call the price of money? You guys all use money, right? What do we call the price of money?
Value money.
No, you can't call money price money. The price of money is interest rate. So how much it costs you to borrow money, that's the price of money, it's the interest rate. So when our money supply change, interest rate will change. So suppose money supply is increased, so more money available, but our interest goes up and down. So more money available, interest rate goes down. Now, if interest rate goes down, how will that affect our economy? What is it? I know that, but how will that affect our economy?
People will be sharing money a lot more than you can buy more.
Carla, what's your favorite car? Yeah. Okay, how much is the new Mustang? How much? How much is the Mustang GT?
GT?
35, 40,
36.
36? Oh, this is very exact. 36,000.
Yeah.
Do you have 36,000 right now? No? So if you want to buy a car today, what can you do?
Cry about it.
Don't cry about it. What else can you do? Don't cry about it. What else can you do?
You
Go
go
to the bank and apply for
A loan. Borrow money, right? So guys, when the interest rate goes down, our consumption increases. As consumer now can borrow more money and then buy more stuff. Make sense? When interest rate goes down, will that change our investment?
Yes.
The investment goes up or down?
Go
Will go up, right? So imagine you want to run a business and you don't have enough money. What do? You borrow from the bank. So when interest rate goes down, you borrow more money, investment goes up. Remember your GDP formulas? It's your C plus I plus G plus NX. So when our interest rate goes down, consumption goes down, goes up, investment goes up, and then GDP goes up. So one way, if your economy is currently in recession, the economy slows down, then what you can do, increase money supply, which will lower interest rate, and then consumption goes up, investment goes up, and the economy gets better. Makes sense? All right, so this is good. We like to have a higher GDP. So can we just keep printing more money, keep more money supply?
No.
What's the downside of too much money supply? Inflation, right? So too much money supply, we have inflation. So the downside of a higher GDP you're gonna have an inflation going up. And if it's too high, you call it hyperinflation. So we're gonna play a balance over here.
Like Zimbabwe.
Like Zimbabwe, right? Remember? Oh, isn't that's the discussion for this week, right?
Yeah.
The Zimbabwe. Guys, I don't know if I mentioned this before. So we don't have any extra points on the final, okay? But I will make one. So extra points always good, right? So what I will do, so I will put one more discussion for the finals week. That discussion will be adding 5 or 10 points to your final exam. Okay, so make sure don't miss that. There's 10 points in the final. Yeah, that's right. And make sure be careful. It's up to 10 points. After 10 points.
So I can't wear an Astros jersey, but can I wear something like the Correa on Tuesday? Can I wear something like that?
No.
No.
You can always supposed to ask him,
There we go.
Danish? You Danish?
No.
Yeah, you can wear his jersey. All right,
That's
everybody got it? Yeah.
yes.
So for the monetary supply, for monetary policy, we have 3 tools. So 3 tools for monetary policy. The first tool we have, that our Federal Reserve can change our required reserve ratio. So if we change our required reserve ratio, there'll be more money supply in the economy. Remember the one we just did before, we changed from 10% to 5%, and then your change in money supply becomes 100 to 300. So if you lower the required reserve ratio, we can increase how much our money supply is. But this change over here, so this first one, this change, we never do it. Even though it's there, we have option for it, but we never use the required reserve ratio as a tool for monetary policy. Why? All right, the reason why, imagine, guys, what is the goal for each bank? If you're a bank, what is your goal? Profit, right? So if you're a bank, your goal is to make the most profit. But if you're holding on to your reserve, you're holding on a lot of cash in the bank. This cash is not making any profit for you. So what you want to do is loan the money out. So for each bank, your goal is to keep your excess reserve as low as possible. Because for any excess reserve, you're not making any money out of it. So imagine that you have a bank, and this bank currently have a deposit of $100. And right now, their reserve, so total reserve for the bank is $5. So that's how much cash they have in the bank. And then the required reserve ratio is also 5%. So that's okay. Because for this bank, their required reserve, it'll be 100 times 5%, that's $5. So which means for this bank, they are required to have $5. And they have $5. So for this bank, how much is the excess reserve? They're required to have 5. They have total 5, so how much is the excess? Remember this? It's your total reserve. Subtract the required reserve. So how much is the excess? 0, right? Because you currently have 5. You're required to have 5. So you don't have any excess. So your excess reserve is 0. Now that's not bad, because for this bank, they don't have any excess reserve. Now all the money they're loaning out, they're making more profit on the loans. But the problem is this. Suppose that you have a depositor. So this person deposits the bank with the bank. We deposit money with the bank. And then tomorrow, this person goes to the bank and says, hey bank, I want to withdraw $10. Can they do it? They can't. They only have $5 cash in the bank. So the bank wants to withdraw $10, they don't have enough cash for this person. At this point, on cash, this bank is called insolvent. And for any bank who's insolvent, they are just one step away from bankruptcy. So the reason why we don't want to lower this ratio here, because for our Federal Reserve, we want the banks to hold on to more cash in the bank. The more cash holding on to, the less likely to be insolvent, the more stable our banking system is. But if you lower this ratio, everybody's short on cash, and then you're going to have many, many banks who are on the verge of bankruptcy. That's not good. Makes sense? That's why we leverage the ratio. The second tool we can use is our discount rate. So for our discount rate, is the interest Federal Reserve charge on the banks when they borrow money from Federal Reserve. Now, for the discount rate, the idea is this. If the Federal Reserve charge a very high discount rate, so it's very expensive for the banks to borrow money, and those banks will borrow less money. But if you have a very low discount rate, so make it very cheap for the banks to borrow money, those banks will borrow more money from the Federal Reserve. When the banks borrow more money from the Federal Reserve, what will they do with it? They will loan them out, right? So the more money they're lending out, the more money we have in the economy. Oh, by the way, guys, did I ever teach you how money is created in the economy? And what is it?
I think you did that in your presentation, the extra credit thing you did.
Oh, the
You showed us
process.
that. Yeah,
The-
you showed us that.
Oh, remember,
right?
yeah, I tell you that money, or every time the banks lend the money out. So for our economy, money creation doesn't happen because the Federal Reserve prints more money. It happens when the banks lend the money out. So when our Federal Reserve charge a very low discount rate, it makes it cheaper for the banks to borrow more money. They will borrow more money, and then when they have more money, they will lend the money to the public. And this lending process, it will increase our money supply. So the second way is that we can lower our discount rate to increase money supply. Now, however, we very rarely ever use this. Any idea why or why not? What's the lowest interest rate in China?
0%.
We go below 0%. Theoretically, yes, but you don't want to. Right? Because if you guys imagine you have a negative interest rate. That means imagine you go to Bank of America and say, hey, Bank of America, I want to borrow $100 from you. If you have a negative interest rate, that means when you pay the money back, imagine you only pay $95 back. That's good, right? Then it means you're going to borrow more money, and then your money supply increases to unlimited level. So this negative interest rate, even though it's possible, but it's not a good idea. So the lowest interest you can go for is 0%. So for this discount over here, you have a limitation. And that limitation is currently at 0%. Now for our economy today, our discount rate for this time right now is about 0.25%. So when our banks borrow money from Federal Reserve only charge a 0.25% interest on it. That is very, very low interest rate. Imagine if our economy today goes down. We'll have a recession today. Then how far can we go for this discount rate? Not that much further, because right now it's already so low. So this discount rate, because of limitation, we rarely ever use it. We do use it, but it's not that often. Which brings us to the last one. It's called open market operation. This open market operation is the one we use most often. Make sure you know what's FMOC. Phone. Any idea what is phone? What is phone? FONC stands for Federal Open Market Committee. Okay? So FONC stands for Federal Open Market Committee. Now currently from our Federal Open Market Committee, we have 12 members. So think this 12 members as your Avengers. So very powerful people, because what they decide to do, it will change our open market operation, it will change our money supply, it will change our economy. Now for these 12 members, 7 of them, they're the board of governors. So for our Federal Reserve, those 7 board of governors, they're also on this Federal Open Market Committee. And the other 5 is 5 of the 12 regional Federal Reserve Bank presidents. Remember, we have this 12 regional Federal Reserve Bank, and then for each Federal Reserve Bank regionally, we have a president. And then for those 12 presidents, 5 of them are also serving on Federal Open Market Committee. And then the one from New York, the Federal Reserve Bank president from New York is always on this committee. So that's the most important thing. This FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee, what they will do, it will change how much our money supply is. It will change our interest rate. And it will change our real GDP. And then for these numbers, for these 12 people, they will meet every 4 to 5 weeks. And then they will discuss how we're going to use our open market operation. And they'll make a choice. Very easy choice. The choice is we buy or sell. Buy or sell what? Bonds. What kind of bonds? Federal bonds. Federal government bonds. So they will decide either to buy or sell our federal government bonds. Now, very important. So this open market operation, we don't buy or sell our company bond. We don't buy or sell our state or local government bond. We only buy or sell our federal government bond. So when they buy or sell federal, let's say we buy. So if our Federal Reserve buy more bonds, they will give us cash for it. So buy more bonds, our money supply will increase, which means lower interest rate, and then increase consumption, increase investment. And then vice versa, when they're selling bond, they're taking money away from us. Because to sell bond, they're going to give us a bond and we must pay the money for it. So selling bond, they will lower our money supply, which means interest rate goes up, consumption goes down, investment goes down. That's when the government is selling bond. The buy bond is also called an expansionary monetary policy. Buy bond is also called expansionary monetary policy. Sell bond is called contractionary monetary policy. We can have something small. The buy bond is expansionary. Sell bond is contractionary. When you have a recession, you buy bond. When you have a inflation, you sell bond. In recession, buy bond. Inflation, you sell bond. So any idea who owns most of the U.S. government bond? Easy catch question thing. Who owns most government bonds? It's not China. That's not answer choice, it's on the touch. It's not China. It's not Canada. Who owns most Federal Reserve? Who owns most government bonds? Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve owns almost 40% of U.S. government bonds. That's the question like this on test. Federal Reserve. Now, so Federal Reserve is a branch of our U.S. government, right? So it's basically government lending money to itself. The reason why the Federal Reserve owns the most government bond is because this expansionary policy. They keep buying bond and then giving cash to consumers, and now Federal Reserve owns 40% of government bond. Yeah, sure. It's okay. Don't have any sense. That's the question on the test. Okay. So Federal Reserve owns 40%, the most of U.S. government bond. Yeah, it's not. It's just where the money comes from. All right. Let me see. So make sure those this will be the question on the test. Okay. There's another question about chapter 11. So chapter 11, guys, make sure you know how to find an inflation rate. So I'll give you, remember the basket value, the CPI. Right? So you need to know how to do this on the test. And then also there was a question asking, what is the best indicator of the current inflation? the best indicator to find your current inflation is your CPI, the Consumer Price Index. That's what we use to find out how much our current inflation is. And we're looking for the future inflation, and how much inflation is for next year or in the future. The indicator is called TPI, Producer Price Index. Because when the producer pay more cost, and then when this turn around, sell this good to us, it'll be at a higher price too. So the CPI is very good for the current inflation, and TPI is very good for the future inflation. What else? Guys, give me a second. Let me look at the test for a second and see what else you need to know on the test. It's not blank, you can't see anything. Maybe later, not right now. Once you guys go home. I will share this after the class, okay? Oh, guys, one more thing. So, all the questions on the test, I made them myself. Okay, so if you go online, you want to find the answers. So, but however, I'm human too, so I do make mistakes, and I make a lot of mistakes on the test. So if you notice that there's a question that you see the answer, you got it right, but the system got it marked it wrong, send me an email and I take a look at it. More than likely, to put a wrong answer key on it. Okay. I think there was, I don't remember who it was, but there was one person in class on the first test. There was 6 questions. She got it right, but the system marked it wrong. Okay, so if it happened to you, let me know and I will change it for you. All right, let's look at the test. Let's see what else we know. By the way, we finished at 2:30, so we have like 5 minutes. Okay. Any question you want to ask me for the 5 minutes? All right. Let's see whatever question I have on the test. Okay, so chapter 11, 15, 16, 17. Which chapter do you want me to look at first? 11, 16, 15, 17. Which chapter? Pick one. 11, okay. 11 is probably the most difficult chapter because it has the calculation for the inflation. Oh, this is a good question. Yeah, oh my God, I found something. All right, so let me read the question to you, okay? So Andy bought a Ford Mustang in 2003 for $24,000. CPI in 2003 was 180.3. Today's CPI is 21.5. What is the 2003 Mustang in today's value?
Oh, is that where you do the fraction?
Very good, the fraction over fraction, right? So make sure you have the formula in your notes. Okay, so what you want to do is the dollar value in 2003 divided by the CPI of 2003 equals to the dollar value of today divided by the CPI of today. You're gonna know this formula on the test. Okay, so just plain numbers. So for this question, the dollar value for Mustang in 2003 is $24,000. CPI in 2003 is 180.3. We're looking for the dollar value in today's value, and then divided by CPI for today, which is 201.5. So you have 3 variables, one missing, solve for the missing value. Cross multiply. Make sense? But there are many questions like this on the test. Okay, so make sure to know the formula. All right, let me see what else. Chapter 11. Oh, guys, which agency in the government calculate our CPI? Very good. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, so BLS. Bureau of Labor Statistics calculate our CPI. Okay, so BLS. Guys, which agency calculate our unemployment rate? Which agency calculate our unemployment rate? What is it? Yeah, all right, fine. Let me give you a multiple choice for you. Yeah. Okay, so we have SEC, the Security Exchange Commission. We have U.S. Congress. We have Bureau of Labor Statistics. And we have the Dow Jones Stock Exchange. Which one? It's a BLS. Okay, so Bureau of Labor Statistics also calculate how much our unemployment rate is. So your inflation, CPI, your unemployment rate are all calculated by our BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now, for unemployment rate, any idea how often do we calculate our unemployment rate in the economy?
Every quarter.
The answer choices are every week, every month, every quarter, every year. Every month, every monthly unemployment rate, every month, every month. Any idea how do we calculate our unemployment rate?
Number of employees divided by labor force.
I don't know, like how does BLS calculate it though? How does BLS find out the information? What is it?
Survey?
I mean, it is survey, but what kind of survey? They will conduct phone surveys. They will call people. Any idea how many people they will call? And give the answer choices. Answer choices are 6,000, 60,000, 600,000, and 6 million.
60,000.
6 million. Every month they will call 6 million people. That's too many.
Are we at 300?
Yeah, you're right. That's not that's not many. So the phone survey, they will call 60,000 people every month. 60,000. So it is a monthly calculation.
What's it called again? Funds?
What is it? Phone survey. Phone survey.
Okay.
Yeah. Phone survey for 60,000 households. Let me see what else I can tell you about the test. Guys, I think I'm talking too much today.
We're okay.
You sure? Oh, let me drink some water. Oh my God. So thirsty. All right, so that's chapter 11. Let's look at chapter 16. 16 pretty important. Guys, what's the risk of having too much money supply? Oh, very good. Oh, know the 3 functions for money. Okay, there's 3 functions for money. So we have, what is it? Medium exchange. Okay, what else? Store value. What else? There's one more. What is it?
I don't know how to say it.
So we have
L.
medium exchange, store value. One more.
With an L.
What is it?
Is it with an L?
It's not liquidity. It's not investment. It's not investment. It's not investment. What else? There's one more.
What is it?
Medium exchange, store value,
Unit of account.
unit of account. So 3 functions. Okay. So make sure you know what each one are. Okay. So medium exchange just means you can exchange your money for something else and go buy it with something else. Store value means if you hold on to it, it's the same value, so it wouldn't expire. So for example, your bottled water wouldn't be a good store value. Just hold on to 2 years and that's a 2-year bottled water. Nobody wants it right now. So store value, that means we hold on to the value pretty good. So if you save your money in the bank, that's a store value. Lastly, it's called unit of account. Unit of account just means that can you use money to measure the value of something else. For example, so suppose a new iPhone, the new iPhone X, is priced at $1,000. This function for money is our unit of account, because your dollar, US dollar, can be measured to see how much the iPhone is. Okay. Now, for example, if you want to see what is a not unit of account, remember that a couple weeks ago, we auctioned off a painting from Da Vinci. Remember that? No? Yes. Any idea how much the painting was auctioned for? $450 million. Okay, a lot of money. Okay, so but here's the thing. So if I ask you that this one bottle of water is equivalent to how many paintings from Picasso? Not Picasso, Da Vinci. Well, we can't measure that, right? Because the painting from Da Vinci is so expensive. This water is so cheap, right? Actually, it is. How much you pay for it? Like a whole pack, like $3. Yeah. So compare a whole pack $3 bottle of water to a painting was $450 million. We cannot use the painting to measure how much this bottle of water is. It's so expensive. It's not a good unit of account. Make sense? Another little thing about it. Imagine you're measuring how much is this phone weight, right? And imagine the unit of measurement is pound. So how many pounds is this phone over here? Okay, very tiny, 0.0000 something, right? So a pound wouldn't be a good measurement for this phone over here. So it gotta be something small enough. Okay. Like ounces, or pound to it. Yeah. Make sense? All right, so just chapter 16. Do you guys want to hear anything more? We can stop right here.
You more answers than we tell.
And there's still a lot of people online right now. Oh, let me see chapter 17. Anything more important? Actually, you know what? That's about it. Let me see if anything in the chapter 15. Okay. Chapter 15. Guys, from minimum wage law, so from minimum wage, I suppose we'll have I'll give you a graph for minimum wage. So let's say that we have a supply for labor and demand for labor. Let's say this is $8. All right, so this one now. Let's do this one now. So quantity this one. So suppose for this economy, the minimum wage is set at $6. What is supposed to happen at $6 minimum wage? Let me read this. So if I set a minimum wage at $6, this quantity will increase or decrease? So a minimum wage is set at $6. The quantity increase or decrease on labor?
Or they have money to more than less.
Okay. So with the quantity of higher, quantity of labor increase or decrease? The minimum wage. It will stay the same. Why does it stay the same? Remember the minimum wage is also known as the price floor. When the price floor is below equilibrium, nothing happens, right? the minimum wage is below your economic wage, then nothing happens. But if you put a minimum wage above it, it will create unemployment, right? So when it's above here, it will be your new employment number, and then this difference here is your unemployment. So on the test, there are some questions I will tell you. That suppose currently unemployment is 5,000 or 600. How much is our minimum wage? So go on to this graph over here. Find out this difference. If wherever is 6,000 or 600, the price level is your minimum wage. Make sense? All right. I guess that's all I can talk about before we give you the answer. Okay. Any question for me on chapter 11, 15, 16, 17? No? All right, so do this. If you want to take an in-person test for test 3, email me today, and I will set up a copy for you at the Keenwood Testing Center. You can pick it up on Thursday evening or Friday or Saturday. Okay, and then next Tuesday over here at this time, we're going to do the in-person final. So you're going to take the in-person final, make sure to be here. And then some rules for the in-person final. You're allowed to take 3 pages of notes with you. Okay, but 3 same rule. So one-sided, 1 page, each one is one-sided, must be handwritten. You have 3 pages of notes with you. Okay, so each one for the last test. Okay, and then don't forget next week I will put up one more discussion. That will be for actual points on the final. So it'll be up to 10 points on the final.
Are the rules different in that discussion?
I will talk about it. I will tell you the rules. Okay, so it's probably going to be something more because it is 10 points on the final. So it probably require you guys to make your own posting. So probably like a maybe 1,000 words posting, and then reply to your classmate. So like a 500 word reply. Gets you up to 10 points. I'll let you know. Don't worry, it's not ready.
Did you say yesterday Merry Christmas to each?
Merry Christmas. No, Merry Christmas. It's not Christmas yet. Christmas is 3 weeks from now. No, that's too early. All right, guys. So I will see you next week. Okay. All right. So for anybody else online with me right now, anybody have a question to ask me? People here. Oh, so Samuel, I see your question. So Samuel asked, will the final be online or in person? So the final will be online, but if you want to take a chance in person, it will be next week. Okay. Anybody have any questions? All right, guys. If no questions, I will see you next week. Well, actually, you know what? This is our last meeting, so I won't see you next week. Okay. So, but have any question? Let me know. Okay. Bye bye.